Hey everyone, it's Kate with Maritime Ceramics and it is time for another kiln unloading. It is almost Christmas and the potters amongst us, which is probably all of you because who else is watching kiln unloading, can probably guess why I'm unloading this kiln so close to Christmas, but we're not going to say it out loud because this video will go up before Christmas. And yeah, I'm not going to say any more about that. All right, let's have a look. So, can I touch these? Yeah, they're a little toasty. Okay, so this load is all red clay. Oops, that one stuck a little bit to the cookie. This is Pottery Supply House 500 clay, and everything in here will be on that, except there is some reclaim. So if I don't tell you the clay, it's Pottery Supply House 500 clay. It's a very nice, rich red clay. And this has Spectrum's Pearl White over top. And it is beautiful. Very happy with how that one turned out. So I did 2 coats kind of everywhere, and then a 3rd coat just around the top. So you can kind of see how it's got that waterfall effect. It's closer. Got that kind of waterfall effect. That is the extra bit of pearl white that I put on the top of that. Lovely. It'll be even better once I get the cookie off the bottom. And these guys are pretty. Okay, we have 2 of these, so I will show you both of these at the same time. 2 ramen bowls, not the same size, still working on that. These are both glazed in Laguna's Power Turquoise. And it just did an absolutely lovely job. So when I was glazing these guys, I poured on the inside, then poured it out, and then turned them upside down and held them by the bottom and just dunked the rim in. So this bit up here has a little bit of extra glaze on it, and that's why we're kind of seeing that waterfall effect. Okay, so the lighting in here is not spectacular. We have the overhead garage light. I probably should open the garage door. That would be much better lighting, but it's cold, so I'm not going to do that. So I will kind of cut up this video a little bit, and I'll put in close-ups of these pots in between so that you can see. And this is a plant pot in Reclaim with Laguna Power Turquoise. And this one I held upside down and dipped in the bucket, and then I painted the little bit in here that didn't get soaked up. And it turned out lovely as well. Okay, and I have 3 test tiles. Interesting. Okay, so this test tile here is Coyote's Amethyst, the dipping version on the Pottery Supply House 500. And I would say this is not quite thick enough, which doesn't surprise me. I think there's a little bit too much water in there. This was literally a test tile to check and see if the specific gravity of the amethyst was correct. And I don't think it really is, because this is quite lilac-y, and usually it's a much more interesting glaze than that. Now this clay here is a new clay that has not yet been released, but it will be soon, from nuCeramics studio here in Fredericton. Andrew is making clay with, I want to say it's 90% local materials. Anyway, there'll be a video on that later, so you will see it later. But it does some really pretty things with the amethyst. And again, that's the dipping glaze, so it's not quite as thick as it ought to be, but. And this is that same clay, the nuCeramics clay with Laguna Power Turquoise on it. So I'm trying some different samples of the glazes that I work with a lot. Because if I do start using this clay frequently, I'd like to know what it does with the glazes that I know and love. And so far, so good. That was a cone 6 firing, but it definitely got to be higher than a cone 6. I would say that's a 7. All right, let's look at this cone first. So this is the next shelf, and it was a hot cone 6, I would say. It's level with the base and starting to curve a bit. Really what you want is for the tip to be level with kind of this V shape here. And we've overshot that mark. So I still have some fine tuning to do with that firing schedule for sure. And we have some pots here with some mugs with the jewelry glaze on it. So if you watched my floating turquoise review, you'll know that I am getting to the end of the batch of jewelry glaze that I have. And so this was kind of like poured on the inside and brush dipped as best I could on the outside. So it's definitely got sort of a rustic feel to it, but cute mugs, I think. And I've got 3 more of those guys. I like that one. It's a really tricky thing. It's a really tricky thing when you get to the bottom of the glaze and you're not buying more of it, to figure out how to evenly coat something. I think I'm at the end of the useful life for mugs. Obviously, this was a bit of a challenge here. So I'll be using the little amount that's left for smaller items, whatever they may be. And, ooh, you were a runner. Okay, I'm not going to give you a close-up of this one because this is for a glaze review that is also coming out soon, so stay tuned. A little bit of scraping to do on that kiln shelf. And here we have, this is the nuCeramics clay again with floating turquoise on it. So I just released that, that review, but I didn't have this clay at that time. So this is kind of a buff colored clay, and it looks really pretty. I've got a couple of mugs that I've made out of this clay, but I wanted to do some test tiles so that I don't ruin a mug, glazing it in something I don't like. I really, really like that. And this is, again, Laguna Power Turquoise. So it shows up much, much darker on this dark red clay than it does on anything else I've used it on. But still, I really like it. Could have used, I think, a slightly thicker application. You get a little bit more interest up here where it's a little thicker. Because again, I would have poured the inside of this, poured it out, and then held it upside down and dunked it like so. So the rim gets a little extra glaze on it. Yeah, just a little bit of chipping to do there. Maybe someday Santa will bring me advancer shelves. Oh, yes. So these mugs, I have 3 of them. Oops. Okay, wearing a long necklace while doing this is maybe not my brightest idea. Let's do this. Okay, so I have 3 mugs. They all look quite similar. And this is, again, Pottery Supply House 500, and it is the floating turquoise. So Spectrum Floating Turquoise, which, again, I have that review up. So if you're interested in seeing the full review, go check that out. These mugs, when I threw them, I actually used an oyster shell, yep, as a rib. So not for the whole throwing process because it's really uneven, but at the very end, so once I had it, basically the way I wanted to, I used it kind of as a texture, not kind of, I used it as a texture rib. And so it leaves these really neat kind of organic lines on the outside. They're not evenly spaced at all. And I really like them. And I thought the floating turquoise would be perfect with that texture because it does show the texture. And also because, I used an oyster shell to throw them. And this gives off a very maritime vibe. So I felt like it made sense. And very, very happy with how those turned out. And here's the third one. Oh, he's cute. I don't aim to make my mugs all the same. I'm not really interested. I think they should all have their own personality. No slight against people who do make mugs that are the same. I 100% understand the practicality of that and the skill involved in doing that. It just isn't something that I enjoy doing, I guess. Anyway, they all have their own personality, and this one, super, super cute. Another couple of pieces that you will see in a review coming up soon. Interesting. And another pearl white. This is, again, Spectrum Pearl White. This one ran a bit more, so I must have put more glaze on than I did the other one. And I probably did that because I thought, well, there's space to catch it. And in fact, it almost worked. Just a little bit of grinding to do right there. And that's my own fault for not putting this on a cookie. Although I suppose I would still have to grind it. It just wouldn't have touched the kiln shelf. And so this one, this shelf is a little cooler. Still, that's a pretty good cone 6 there. I'm okay with that. But the top 2 shelves were way too hot, so I have to dial it back a little bit. And this is the last piece. This is also floating turquoise, Spectrum Floating Turquoise. It is on Reclaim, and I think I used the oyster shell on the outside of this one too, but I used, kind of depending on how you hold the oyster shell, it completely changes the lines that it leaves because it's a different shape, right? So, cute. This guy is cute. Pleased with that. I just say the more that I use the floating turquoise, the more that I like it. It has been pretty consistent. I'm not seeing pinholes. Not seeing any pinholes. It does some really nice stuff over texture. Yeah, I'm really impressed. I think I said in the video that it might make its way into my library of glazes, and I can confirm I will be buying this in the tipping version because I'm really liking this. And that's it for 2025. Last kiln unloading of 2025. No, should I say that? I might do another one before New Year's. We'll see. To those of you who celebrate Christmas, have a wonderful holiday. And to everybody else, if you have days off, please enjoy them. And I wish you a happy new year, and I will see you in January.